And welcome back to Be Fair, a podcast hosted by me, that is Aaron, and I'm right here. And of course, I'm joined by the always lovely Lisa. How are you tonight, Lisa?
I am fantastic. Just enjoying my Huggle and a spotted cow.
A Huggle,
Don't judge.
is that one of those
It's
wearable blankets?
yes, sir, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, sir, ma'am.
Oh,
And
yeah.
of course, I'm always in the hood. You know.
Shut up. You look like a Sith Lord from Smurfville.
So would that be a Smurf Lord
Maybe.
instead of a Sith?
A Smith Lord.
Yes.
And of course we have our other new co-host, Michael McLaughlin, best known as Mikey. What's up, Mikey? How you doing?
Oh, recovering.
I know
You know.
you just got over the Rona, didn't you?
I did. It's hard to believe that we were talking about, oh God, we can't get this a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, I tried my darndest. Sorry, I don't want to demonetize you.
Oh no, we're not. You can swear.
Okay. But yeah, like I tried so darn hard not to get it.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, I got my first shot beforehand, which
So it made
reduced
the
my
symptoms.
symptoms.
Yeah.
But it was still mind-bendingly horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we won't get into details of any of the bodily functions, but it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just so we know, there are bodily functions.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, when I asked him about the brain fog after you told us that you tried to start your car with your bandana or unlock it with your bandana,
Yeah.
I asked him, he's like, that was the absolute worst, was the brain fog.
Yeah, I felt absolutely stupid.
He said he
Like-
still has some.
Yeah.
And it's been like, I don't know, 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. What is it? Sunday. So I'm like literally only like 2 days out from my last day of quarantine. So it's like.
So it's interesting that we're where we're at right now, like a year later. Remember a year ago, the three of us were doing the Panic Day Diaries.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When our podcast was way too long.
Oh my God. We did like almost 2 hour episodes.
But what else do we have to do?
Bless you,
know.
listeners.
Yeah.
For those of you who started with us last year.
Yes, I hope you're still listening. I hope we haven't scared you off yet. I feel like we have an interesting audience, but they don't engage very much. I feel like I have a lot of our audience are mostly like socially anxious people that like to hear me talk. They're like, I made a post on Facebook earlier saying that I have recently been told that I have an intimidating personality. And now most of the time we take intimidating and we think of it as a negative. Intimidating doesn't necessarily mean negative. I just think of it as negative because when you intimidate someone, sometimes the intimidation factor makes another person feel weak or, attacked. But I forget that intimidation, I'm an intimidating, powerful personality that can kind of make people feel like very inferior, and I don't intend to. And I don't think people necessarily go like, you two are exceptions. I don't think that you guys find me intimidating in that factor, but
no,
you also
I've known you too long.
Yeah, but I'm talking like you understand the fact that I have an extra personality.
Oh yeah, I've been told by one of my closest friends, one of my closest friends now, that when she first met me, she was afraid of me.
Yeah, because we just we own a room when we walk in. Like, I think that's why I was drawn to you, Lisa, when we first met in Builders all them years ago. And it just seems like so long ago, yet so like not that long ago. It's like we're stuck in this bubble of, I don't know if I have temporal dysplasia sometimes. And part of my mind feels like I'm still stuck back in that 21-year-old, 19-year-old kind of phase when, we used to hang out and think we were like the hottest kids in town.
Because we were.
We were. I mean, when I first moved down there, we need to get Becky on here because we need to talk about how Becky and I won a naughty schoolgirl and a nerd costume at Stargate, costume contest at Stargate one night.
Stargate.
Wow.
You weren't there, Lisa. I think
I know.
Lisa, I don't think you were there that night, but
weird.
That was when Becky and I were roommates, and She
And
dressed
you
me.
moved out and I moved in.
Yes, you replaced.
Did you
I'm
dance
sure
in
you
the
were a
cages
very
there,
sexy.
Aaron?
I'm sure you were a very sexy schoolgirl, Aaron.
I wish, but I was a hot nerd. Like she
I
gave me
bet.
like this mohawk. It was really cool, and like we took the glasses, I had suspenders and a pocket protector, and she was like the most punk rock Avril Lavigne looking naughty schoolgirl you could ever
So
imagine.
basically, what he's saying is she got dressed for the day.
Basically, she just put on some clothes. That was,
Yeah.
oh my
Who's
god.
this girl, and is she married? I mean,
Our
what?
friend is
Um,
Becky, and I don't think she's married.
no,
Um,
she lives with her parakeet. I
yeah,
know
she
that.
lives. She
She's
was
not in
one
the
of
cities.
She was one of my favorite people.
She
Like,
was my first girl crush.
we have to get her on this show. I think I've reached out to her and she's interested. It's just locking her down.
Right.
But
Same thing
Mike,
with Drew.
you would. Drew is like, I don't know.
He's an elusive creature.
I think I'd have a better luck getting Oprah on this show.
Probably. I'm sorry, Mike. I can't even stand it anymore. Your background, like your wall behind you, reminds me of jail.
Girl, that used to be my room where he's
Yeah.
sleeping.
Well, it's
Yeah,
very
it felt like jail.
cinder blocky and yellow.
As much as
Just
as much as I love the family that dwells in that house, they're amazing people. Mike is an amazing person, but it's still, I lived down in that room for last summer.
hmm Were you in
the only
Azkaban?
the only saving grace was that Mike was my roommate and dealt with all the internal struggles I was going with, because it was very hard on my mental health to live in that house, and I know it's not very easy on Michael's.
Well,
But
your nails match the walls, Aaron. Yeah, yours too, Mike.
sadly, okay, so they're pink and yellow. Remember, I painted these last week when we were
Yeah,
doing.
I know.
I feel like at some point they kind of look like ketchup and mustard.
God, you're so gay.
Oh my god! Do you know I watched? Okay, so one of my favorite shows just returned for season 2. It's Everything's Gonna Be Okay. I think I told you about that one, and I sent you a message, Lisa.
That's the one that you sent a message to me too, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely an Aaron show. I'm not gonna watch it.
No, you don't understand. There's something about it that I can't describe. Is just, it engages you. Like, one of the girls and the actual actress that plays her is on the spectrum, and a lot of the situational comedy is focused towards what's going on with her, but it's a sibling thing. It's just so interesting. I can't even describe it, but it's very focused on mental health, like
What's it called
extreme.
again?
Everything's Gonna Be Okay. It's on Freeform, which then it'll be on Hulu the day after.
Okay. I have that now, so
Yeah, I know you do.
I have it
but
all. I
I'm rewatching Dexter right now.
never watched all of that.
When I was living with you, you were rewatching. I think at that time you were still rewatching Stargate.
Yeah, I just finished it about
Mhm.
3 weeks ago, and I needed something different to watch, honestly. Because like it's taken me, because I've sat down and I've watched so many episodes. I mean, I've seen every episode of Stargate now, except for the stuff from the early 1900s with like Catherine and all that new stuff. I haven't watched that yet, but it took me forever to get through SG1. And I'm so glad that I finally did all in one, like from start to finish, because
I love Stargate.
it's most people and a lot of people might be surprised to hear this, but Star Wars is not my favorite sci-fi.
I'm not surprised, actually. Yeah.
Stargate is tied with Firefly.
Now, Lisa,
Wow.
I want to take that into account with Mike, is the fact that he is an obsessed Star Wars fan, more than any other Star Wars fan I've ever met. So for him to say that he's more into Stargate says a lot. Like, I can't even imagine what he knows about the Stargate universe.
There's just so much more, I think, to the Stargate universe.
More.
Well, because it's a Stargate, it's interdimensional, right?
Right. Well, it's the movie.
Yeah,
it's the movie, which
I remember seeing the movie as a kid.
Yep. I mean, I saw the movie in theaters when I was a kid.
I didn't, but I do remember seeing
and
the movie.
then SG1 has 10 seasons. And I think every one of them is 22 episodes.
I think so.
I don't think I ever watched the series. I think I caught episodes, but I just want to bring it back to the everything's going to be okay though. But I really your rewatch stuff is really cool to talk about, and we'll get back to it. But what I was getting with everything's going to be okay is that the character Josh Thomas, who created the show, he is playing this character, and he's very gay, and he's trying to connect with his sister's girlfriend's parents because they're on this weird socially distant date. It's okay. So his sister's a lesbian, or identifying as a lesbian, the autistic one. So it's anyway. I don't want to give too many spoilers. I'm just trying to get to the point of why this is so important to the conversation. And it's one thing that his character says at some point to his boyfriend after they get in. He was like, I like hanging around with heterosexuals, and I like being super gay in front of heterosexuals because heterosexuals just love that. They expect that. Like it's true. There's sometimes I think Mike knows this because he lived with me and like we've known each other for a while, but I can sometimes tone it down a lot. Like when we're just chilling. I mean, I can when we're just chilling. But like when there's other people around, I must entertain. Like it's just nonstop.
The show must go on.
Yeah, like if it's just me and Mike, we can just banter back and forth and have fun. But like suddenly there's more than one person in the room. And
you're like,
that's the thing with you and I, Aaron, is our sexuality has never gotten in the way of our friendship. Like that's like secondary to our friendship.
We make the jokes for it because it's really we're the odd couple of today.
I can see that.
We just awesome.
Are. It's like the stereotype of, if there's a gay person around, they're gonna bully you into trying to go on a date, or not bully, but harass you and be pushy. And
it's just like on TikTok. It's just like on TikTok, they're really showing that whole conversation part about the fact that the most of the homophobic guys that are afraid of gay men are the same ones that go and they're only mad because they're worried that guys are going to treat them the same way that they treat girls in the bars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a piece of meat. Like, oh yes, we want to eat you up. Like, I mean, we do. There are a lot of gay people that behave that way, but usually it's only at our functions, like Pride. You show up in our dominion. You play by our rules, Hunty.
Yeah, I'm not going to say his name, but Aaron, you know him, and I'll tell you who this is afterwards.
Oh, girl.
But he's from Hibbing, and he's very, very short. I don't know if he'd be possibly even watching this. His name starts with a J, and last name starts with an S.
Okay.
But he was really, he was overly pushy at the bars. And he was one of those he was a stereotype, and he was one of those that a lot of people just don't like because it's so pushy. But I've never felt that with you, I mean,
I've never, because here's the thing is that I can be flirty with straight guys. There's a certain level to a certain degree, but
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, but it's more just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
like it is. I mean, I barely can I can't even hit on gay guys that actually I actually stand a monicum of a chance with. With straight guys that see me as non-threatening, it's easier because this way I get to be flirty with cute guys sometimes. Like I have had a lot of there's these
safe.
Yeah, there's these 23-year-old guys that I've known since they were 20 when I first moved home. And they worked as servers in the restaurant that I worked at and the hotel that I worked at when I first moved home. And I sometimes work with them. And they were my little straight boys. I
had gay boys, you have straight boys.
I was building my army of straight boys. But the nice thing is about these straight boys is they're actually they don't identify as straight. They just identify as pansexual. They're
humans.
Yes, pansexual I feel is like the sexuality that I think everyone should just identify with now. In a sense. Now here's why. Yeah, in a sense that I don't think it's fair to label anyone as one or another when there is such a fluidity of it, and that's just my opinion, and that's only the fact that I want to know that I want to be able to say that I can be sexually attracted to certain females without actually wanting to have sex with them. And I want to think that I want to think that a guy like Mike could confidently think, of a guy, like if he was to think people like who the most popular guy that's on TikTok that's popular now is Sebastian Stan, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No, I don't even know who that is.
He's the Winter Soldier in the Marvel movies.
Oh, he plays Bucky?
Yeah, Bucky.
Okay.
Yeah. So
why didn't you just say that?
He's the hottest thing on the TikTok verse right now because Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the hottest show right now. And so of course I've known Sebastian Stan since Gossip Girl.
He was in Gossip Girl?
Yeah, he played Carter Bazin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's
been
way
a
before.
long time since I've seen that show. So I mean,
and then I didn't see him again until Once Upon a Time when he played the Mad Hatter.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, that's why I know him so much. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh, I loved him in that. Once is one of my favorite shows.
Me too. It was
I never finished it.
Girl, why don't you? Anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. Sebastian Stan, so after he was the Mad Hatter, he didn't return for season 2 as the Mad Hatter. And I was wondering why. All of a sudden I saw he was in the new Captain America movie. And I'm like, oh, he's in a new franchise in the movies. He's busy. But then they killed him off in Captain America. Like Bucky died. And I didn't read a lot of Captain America comics when I was a kid, so I didn't know who the Winter Soldier really was. And so when I was like, oh, okay, they're bringing the Winter Soldier, I was reading up when the movie was coming out. Oh, that's Bucky. Okay, so he's back. It's cool. There's more connection, and it was really cool how they did it. But then, of course, I did all my research on Captain America and the Winter Soldier and all that stuff, and it was great.
I'll tell you who the most beautiful man in Once is, though. The most beautiful man. I have no problem.
Is it Captain Hook?
Oh my God. Legitimately. Like that was like, because, okay, so I think the reason I never finished it is that was a show that Donna and I watched.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, Captain Hook can be your get out of jail free card.
I think he's everybody's. I think, yeah.
Who is Captain Hook?
Have you seen Once Upon a Time? Oh, you should check it out.
I think I've only seen maybe one. Is the first episode a Red Riding Hood episode?
No.
I don't remember the first.
No, the first episode is the whole connection with the Evil Queen and Snow White and how the curse happened.
Oh, so maybe I'm thinking of a different show that's...
No, the Red Riding Hood's in Once Upon a Time. It's just she wasn't featured in many storylines until a couple.
She's delicious too.
Yeah, she's Ruby. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like God.
She looks like a skank.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a few episodes. I just never followed through with it.
She's stunning.
Yeah. And then
are we just going to talk about hot guys now? Because I do have a couple of those.
It's kind of fun talking about hot guys with a straight guy.
Well, I mean, I've got a few. Captain Hook. He's Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I think
if
you also say Chris Evans, I mean, Chris Evans is everybody's. He's America's.
You know what? Okay. So the thing with Chris Evans,
Lisa,
he's too pretty. No, he's too pretty.
Okay.
Now, wait.
Maybe I'm not picturing the right person then.
Chris Evans is Captain America.
Oh, who's the guy who plays Captain Kirk then?
Chris Pine.
Okay, that was who I was thinking. Oh yeah, Chris Evans is gorgeous too.
Yeah. Chris Pine.
Chris Pine is that over the top, too pretty.
You should see him. You should see him. Oh, Mike, we still need to watch Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. Is he in that?
Yeah, he's Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
Just like he was.
I did want to go back to something you said about TikTok.
Yeah. Okay. So Lisa, Mike. Okay. When we were first getting into TikTok, Lisa, together, like Mike was like, I don't like that company. Blah, blah. Now he's a freaking TikTok junkie. Here it is.
One
So
of
here
us.
is my story about TikTok. Initially, TikTok was a Chinese company. I have no problem with, it being a Chinese company. I have a problem with the deep state that every big government was using it to triangulate U.S. military positions, and United States military people were dying because of the triangulation of TikTok. That is why I did not support it initially.
What?
Yeah, it was really bad initially, and once it was sold to an American company, is when I'm like, okay, I can get in this. And the one thing that I find absolutely beautiful about TikTok, aside from the was that your is that
That's
your
my
puppy?
dog.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
What do you want?
That was a meow
Oh, he
doxy.
talks.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a talker. Come
Oh,
on.
Lisa, when you meet Mila, Aaron knows this, how Mila talks.
Come on.
I
Yeah.
love Mila.
I'm actually my goal is to start getting videos of Mila doing that for TikTok because she's such a spectacular looking dog. I mean, she's not your typical dog, and
Is
she's
that the
also
picture
got
of the dog that you sent on the chat?
yeah, that's Mila.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I love Mila. I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
Can't
So,
wait.
but we're doing our ADHD thing here and all over. The one
You
thing
sound like
that
turkeys.
well, it is turkey season starting in like 72 hours. So
Ooh.
Okay, this is not the conversation with ADHD. Keep going.
no, but the one thing I really, really wanted to touch on that I'm really enjoying about TikTok, and the algorithm, and it gives you stuff that fits what you watch, right?
Mhm.
It's really comforting to know that I am not the only person that suffers from my type of mental illness.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I'm watching these videos and I'm like, there is a gigantic community of people that are just like me, just like you, just like you.
Mhm.
And it's a platform for them to connect.
And like there's certain things that people are just like, oh, I didn't know that other people did this. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was the only person on the planet that did that. And then there's a person on TikTok that's got 50,000 views on that. And I do that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not so isolated as I previously thought. And TikTok, as much as it keeps me up at night, has been really, really good for my mental health recently.
Yes. I'm so happy that you are seeing it from that side.
Yeah.
I did not want to see it from that side either. I was very vehemently against TikTok.
But I broke her down real quick.
Yeah. And now I'm part of like
hang on. Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
I want Mike to finish his thought.
I know, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the thirst traps. I am a red-blooded man. I appreciate them. But, we're not doing thirst traps anymore. We're doing nerd traps.
Nerd traps.
Is my favorite.
Yes.
It's my favorite because it's just like, oh, I'm through and through.
Lisa, I am a little bit jealous that I don't get to see Mike's thirst traps because you're on gay TikTok with me, right, Lisa?
Oh my God, I'm all over gay TikTok. Like that's how I am.
Like,
yeah.
You want to see our thirst traps? Like
it's ridiculous.
Well, there was that one that I sent you, Aaron. That one guy that and I sent that one to you, and you're like, "Oh my!" And I'm like, "I know, I saw it, and I thought of Aaron instant." I'll have to start sending you the ones that I see too, Lisa, when it's a hot dude.
Likewise. Do you even ever see the ones I send you, Aaron? You never comment. You never nothing.
You send me way too many.
I tag you. Up. I know. I tag you in a lot of stuff.
You do, and I'm just like, God, Lisa, stop. And some of the ones you send me, I've already seen. And
it's not my fault, Bish.
It's fine. I'm not mad. Otherwise, if I was mad, I'd be like, "Girl, I already saw that." Like,
oh my God, that's so last week.
Like, oh my God,
Aaron, did you send me the one yesterday of the guy who said, "Oh, I could never do that," and then he starts singing from The Greatest Showman. From now on.
Oh,
and then the whole group, it looks like they're college kids, and I'm guessing they're theater college kids.
I did not send you that.
I will send you that one after this is done because it was so good. Like, and the music that's on there And then like I'm seeing all these people that are like, I'm really enjoying TikTok because it's making me feel better about myself mentally, because I know that other people are suffering from the same things I do. But I'm also on there like, and all these people are like the singers, and they're good, but they're not as good as me.
Right.
And I'm just like, these people have like 1.5 million views on this song. Oh, but like, and then that girl that I sent you last week, Lisa, that Jada
Yes.
music, and then
That's
that
incredible.
Lauren Pally, the one they did that.
The
Oh my
duet.
God, the duet. Yeah,
I really want to know where she finds all these empty museums.
well, it's COVID.
Seems a little suspicious, though.
So anyway, I'm welcome to the world of TikTok, and seeing it from that. Like, I have to agree with Mike on how his journey through it has
Lost your
been,
picture, Lisa.
because
I'm here. Hello?
she's there.
Oh, there she is.
So yeah, I was avoiding TikTok for the longest time. I think every now and then I had the app. When I used to hang out at Mike's house, I would play around with editing stuff. But I didn't want to get into like another social media thing, you know?
I have no idea how to edit. I have no idea how to stitch. I have no idea, nothing. No.
Well, that's why
Nope.
I've just become that's why I become a lip sync TikToker. I've had fun with that. And then there's people who are like, "Oh, do some original content." I'm like, I am doing the original content with the lip sync on my version. That's a form of TikTok. I'm not saying that whatever. I would love to do some original stuff, but I'm still getting inspired to do that. And I will when I'm ready. I'll do something original. And I'm not going to
sorry, you're not going to what?
I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to do it, because I think, remember how I was so gung-ho, like every day I was making a new TikTok at like at Christmas time through I think the middle of January for sure.
Yeah, I went through that too though. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cool. I'm a new person on TikTok.
Well, and then, I was so excited because I was just getting the followers. Like I had the followers just like boom, boom, boom.
Well, yeah,
boom,
and I don't. So I'm like, whatever.
How many do you have now, Aaron?
Over 3,000.
Damn, girl.
I have 266.
I think I have like 25.
Well, I've had to do a lot of things.
I've learned though too that following more people gets you more exposure, which gets you more followers.
Yeah, because the more followers you have, the more the more potential you have in being in people's FYP.
Michael, you need to look up Blue Eyed Darkness.
Oh, I know her very well. I follow her. She is my favorite TikTok. She's going to be in a music video.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. She's so beautiful.
She is.
Everything about her is beautiful.
Yep. And
I'm in it's weird. I mean, I'm in gay TikTok, cosplay TikTok, two things I don't participate in. And then I just found book TikTok. They call it book talk, which is stupid. But I just
I follow the Bearded Viking. And
I follow him.
Yep, and he and I have talked a couple different times because he's going to be doing a tour, and I told him, I'm like, you should come to northern Minnesota. He's like, it's on my list. I'm like, yes. I'll take you up on Lake Superior, and I'll show you some of the amazing things on why the Norse culture came to Minnesota. Because come on, but I follow. That's my favorite thing is the Norse TikTok. I love that stuff.
The sea shanties are my favorite.
So I want to take a moment here just to reflect again about the fact that we all found a mental health positive through TikTok. And what I like about TikTok is TikTok connects other people, like Mike mentioned, where it's like, you get to hear stories of other people that are relating to your journey as well. And the more you do it, the more inspiration you get. And that is what I love. That is what I'm all about, is being inspired and inspiring other people. And sometimes I inspire myself, and sometimes I'm inspired by Mike. Sometimes I'm inspired by you, Lisa. I don't know if you guys realize, because Lisa, you're always giving me a lot of props for helping you do your mental health journey by jumping in this podcast. And you have no idea how much I reciprocate that, if not more, because you're part of this. I really want that to be clear. And Mike, I'm so happy that I can get you when I can get you. And I hope we can get you a lot more. However, we are coming close to the end of the first half of the season. So we'll probably be taking a hiatus, but we'll be able to, the four of us really get together and figure out where we want to take the podcast now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because we have this opportunity to record. We don't have to always be together. Like Mike and I talked about doing a podcast for 3 years now.
Yeah. And I mean, how many times have we've sat down? I mean, we've sat down when you got the microphones, and I learned all the programming for that. And I mean, and and honestly, in the last year, the availability of it has come up so much better now, just because we have been social distance, and we have to. I mean, we have to do it this way. I mean, we don't have to do it this way, but this is the most respectful way to do it.
Well, yeah,
it's been nice, Aaron, because you've introduced me to people that I don't find completely wretched.
I
don't people very well anymore.
I'm very particular in who I actually involve in the close inner circle of my life. And I feel that you all will generally vibe with each other very well.
Yeah.
I think, you pretty much one of the only people, like Lisa, you haven't met Janelle, my best friend. Mike.
Janelle. Oh no, that's Janet. Never mind.
Oh, well, you know Janet. Janet is another lovely human. But yeah, you've made so many friends.
Don't you call Janelle Janet?
No, someone else called her Janet. No, I don't. I just call her Janelle.
Okay, but someone else called her Janet.
There was an old roommate, Brooklyn, that called her Janet. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you remember. You were hung out with us when Brooklyn was there. Yeah.
No, I only know Peyton.
Okay.
So.
But yeah. Anyway, so.
But yeah, TikTok. Once I gave in, or accepted it for what it was.
One of us.
Yes, I assimilated, and it actually turned into a very positive.
Will receive a free upgrade. Where's it from?
Doctor Who.
Thank you, Mike.
I've never ever seen Doctor Who in my life.
Well, that's a pity. You need to watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really want to watch Dave Tennant. I love David Tennant.
You haven't watched any Doctor Who? No, wait, hold tight, Mike. We're going to discuss the fact that Lisa hasn't seen any Doctor Who. What?
Not one episode.
I'm so jealous that you get to watch them fresh.
Oh, what?
You get to see them from the beginning and get to go through that whole journey.
Which one should I start with? Because Doctor Who's been on it.
Just start with Eccleston. Yeah, just start with Eccleston. Start with the 2005, 2006 series. And Eccleston's there for one season, and then it turns into Tennant for about 3 seasons. Yep. And then Matt Smith, who is fabulous.
Remember when you had the episode about Doctor Who and I just sat here? I was like, yeah.
Did we had an episode about Doctor Who?
Well, we talked a lot about Doctor Who, or you did. I don't remember who was on. It might have been Mike. Might have been you.
I watched quite a bit of it when I was in St. Louis.
Yeah, it could have been Mike.
Yeah, that's
last year when we were talking about Doctor Who, probably.
But I was a huge and when you
Amy Pond, who is
Karen Gillian,
who is Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's
and Ruby Roundhouse
in the Jumanji movies. Ruby
Karen. Okay, so we're talking about nerd traps. Karen Gillan is my nerd trap. Her and Marina Baccarin, who was Inara in Firefly, and she was
Gotham. She was in Gotham and Deadpool.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's Deadpool's.
Yeah, she's Ryan Reynolds. Not Ryan Reynolds' girlfriend. She's her husband or boyfriend, who she has a kid with, was actually the Ben McKenzie. He played James Gordon in Gotham, but he played Deadpool's girlfriend. She played Deadpool's girlfriend.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, those are my two nerd trap girlfriends.
She's a gorgeous one. I love her.
And of course my oldest best one is Mila Jovovich.
Oh yeah, that never changes.
But I mean, Fifth Element is my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, excuse me. She has no problem ever being naked. ever.
Thank
So,
All
God.
98 pounds of her.
Thank
so,
God.
so, yeah, anyway, so what I really like about this whole social media and connecting with other people, that's one of my goals with our podcast as well. And that's why we always talk usually about a mental health thing. For this episode, we chose to kind of just do like a nice little cauldron of bringing Mike back on, because it's been a while since Mike's been on an episode.
Yeah.
Almost a
Mhm.
year.
I think I only did like 3 since we did the Panic Diaries.
I remember
something
you. I remember you doing our Black Lives Matter episode.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember doing that, but I was probably, you know.
That was a very interesting. I mean, yeah. So while we're wrapping up, but I just really want to talk about how the biggest thing that we've been able to do is connecting to each other in the pandemic and keeping our mental health on tabs and our mental health recovery staying on journey, because this is one of the biggest struggles for the whole world. And those of us who do struggle with mental health struggles as well, there's that added stuff to it. I feel that my mental health has stayed pretty stable compared to where the pandemic is. I've just
I
got all
think,
the other
yeah,
yeah,
I will
I've just got all
100% agree with that.
yeah. However, but I do look at the things that sometimes are causing my triggers to go up a little bit more are pandemic related, but I think it's indirect.
You know,
That
yeah, I kind of feel like my mental health has prepared me for this
right?
pandemic. Like,
Yeah,
I really truly feel that way. Like, because like I see all these, and not to lump them into a group, but the normies, the normal people, and they have no idea how to deal with their mental health stuff,
Yeah, they don't understand isolation like we do.
yeah,
and like
I mean,
Aaron knows this as well as I do. I mean, from the time I was in my car accident in 2017, I pretty much stayed at home or went to karaoke or went fishing, and Aaron and Janelle would come with, or Aaron and Josh would come with. Like, my circle was very small. I
mm-hmm.
did theater, I did karaoke, and I stayed at home.
Yeah,
mhm.
So I mean, like, isolation wasn't that big of a thing for me. In fact,
Right.
I was trying to get out of isolation
mm-hmm.
by going to St. Louis, by going to IT school, by getting back into the workforce. And then COVID happened, and I'm like, I'm already ready for this.
Yeah.
Right.
I've done this. I know how to do this, and as long as this is going to take, I can sit at home.
Mhm.
It
I
was,
play video games. I have my dogs.
and it's weird because like I don't even just limit it just to COVID. Like the year of 2020, we talk about, and the world has now deemed as the year the Earth stood still, basically. You know, it's
But that's
it
such
just.
a lie. That's
I
such
know,
a
no.
lie because
What I mean is like, here's the thing. Okay, walk with me on this journey.
oh yeah.
Is I watched this conspiracy theory thing, which is now this is not a conspiracy theory in itself. It's just talking about the history of like religion and how our astrological signs, we're in the age of Aquarius. And so we move to the next.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that wanted to burst into song.
Age of Aquarius.
The age of Aquarius.
Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. Yep.
Oh, I miss singing.
uh,
Anyways,
Me
what's
too.
your age of Aquarius?
so as we grow into the next phase, it's almost like the year 2020 was that like gap year between the next phase of our existence. And is this the time that we can heal, or is this the time that we're going to destroy ourselves? Because we have an opportunity right now with what's going on in media. I mean, with the Derek Chauvin trial right now that had to do with everything with George Floyd's death last summer and all the Black Lives Matter movement that's been happening, and the conversation that needs to start that people are just not allowing to start because they don't believe it's a problem. And that in self is a problem. That right there is like the surface that we need to get past to people to get to have the conversation.
But you can do as much as you want. If say I was one of those people, you can talk to me, but I'll feel like you're just talking at me, because if I want to remain ignorant of the situation, I will.
Correct. You're
You know,
only
and
you're only ready to start talking about it when you're ready to start talking about it. Like,
or even start hearing about it.
I have people in my life, no, not naming any names, that are still very much in that mindset. I won't call it closed-minded. I will call it, and it's more of an ignorance thing than it is closed-mindedness. It's comforting to stay in what you know.
Right, and you know what you're taught.
You know, I mean, I can look back at growing up in the 80s and into the 90s. The 90s is when stuff like 95, 96 is when everything started changing. And so for the past quarter century, we've been on this upward trend.
Right.
And then there's the people that don't want to get into that. And they're like, nope, I'm not going to do that. But for me, is like people ask me my opinion on things. And I've got some very polarized opinions on certain things. Like, you're never going to change my mind about owning guns, but I'll be the first to tell you that the puppy. Sorry. But I'll be the first to say, yeah, I don't care if we have to have more checks and balances with firearms.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with people saying, "Oh, you don't need to have your guns." I'm like, that's not your choice. But I mean, I have very polar thoughts on that. But I've also got a lot of people that are very Republican, and I can't talk to them about it, but I can show them how I am and who I am because I don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
And that's planting a seed. And for me, that's,
here's the thing is that, Mike, I think you're the kind of person that, like, if people are going to want to talk about gun reform and changing gun laws or something, you're interested in the conversation to hear the other side of, all right, I want to hear why you think that's a big deal before I just get on board with you. That's the difference between gun owners like you and other ones who don't even want to hear why it's an issue for other people, you know.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we can discuss the whole BLM thing. Because I mean, I was pretty much like at the beginning of that, I'm like, why don't all lives matter? And it took a lot of conversations with you and I for me to say, okay, well, yeah, it's because their house is on fire right now. Mine isn't.
Yeah. Yes. That's the best way to look at it, because it's the fact that it's the most simplified way to look at it that any idiot could understand that way if they're really paying attention. But you also understand the deeper conversation, or at least you have it, where it's the fact that, yes, all lives do matter. That is the belief the universal belief, right? But here's the problem: where you believe that all lives matter, you're still forgetting a piece. What you're doing is, Black people have suffered a lot more than we actually know and understand.
Yep.
Based on what we know in history.
I've gotten way more understanding because, like, it's actually opened up conversations with some of my African American friends, and like I'm like my buddy Jay, like, I never understood how it was for him being one of the only Black people in the Hibbing area that wasn't there on a sports scholarship. And like, he and I have talked a couple different times, and he's like, yeah, this sucks. He's like, you'll never understand this. I'm like, you're right, I won't. And that's where I've gotten to in this point. And a lot of that is our conversations, because I mean, I know that there's been a couple times when Aaron's been really pissed off at me because when I believe something, I don't believe it just on a whim. I've done my own research or something that's really near and dear to my heart, because I truly 100% believe that every single person matters.
Yep.
I really, truly do. But it doesn't change the fact that, and like this whole, the new hashtag, Stop Asian Hate. I don't see it because we don't have a huge Asian culture up north here.
Correct.
But my buddy Dustin, he's I can't remember what his Asian persuasion is, but he was someone I met down in St. Louis, and he's like, yeah, he's like, being Asian sucks sometimes. And like
Yeah.
and it's a small group of people that are spreading the hate, and people are taking it hook, line, and sinker, and it makes me angry.
It
Like,
spreads
and
like fire.
yeah, I've been getting more and more angry. But you know why it spreads like fire? It's the same reason why we have these gigantic wildfires, is because the undergrowth hasn't been taken care of for
Yep.
years and years and years and years, and there's all this fuel that's just been sitting there waiting to burn.
That is an amazing analogy.
Yeah, and we need to go in there and clear out all that chaff.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that is going to cause some very, very serious conversations that aren't going to be easy, that
Right.
aren't going to be simple, and that's where the fires are. And right now, the fires are on somebody else, not me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
And
it's even
that's
like the simple things. Like a good friend of mine has, she makes babies, and they're beautiful and wonderful. But she went to go buy a doll for her baby, and the darker skinned dolls are more expensive.
yeah.
So,
Well, and that was another thing that we talked about when I was down in St. Louis. I think we talked about this in the Panic Diaries, how different commercials were down there.
oh
Because
yeah,
oh yeah.
because up here you watch a commercial and it's predominantly white, because
absolutely.
Hey guys,
our
wait. I just really want to pull this back because I didn't want to get us to a whole Black Lives Matter conversation, and I
Oh,
want to bring it
sorry.
back in but I really wanted to just really talk about how Mike was right about how we had the conversations, and he's already had an open mind, and I think I was able to help share from another minority's perspective,
Yeah.
another person that deals with bigotry in every day. So it's almost like not saying that Mike is blind to it on purpose, but it's the same thing about why white privilege is a thing.
100%. It took me a long time to get there.
Yes, it's not. Because it takes a long time to really break that down and be like, but I didn't grow up like with a silver spoon. I didn't grow up with all these opportunities. And it's like, that's true. You're not privileged, but you did have white privilege in the fact that I probably would get out of a crime easier for just a first offense, even because I came from a nice white family in a nice Christian community.
100%.
Yes.
And
100% yes.
that's just a fact. And I know that. And I'm not saying that I was entitled to that. What I was saying was I'm aware of it, and therefore I think that is wrong. And it's a nature problem. It's a problem we need to get to nurture out of us, or whatever you call it. Like, and that is what the conversation is about. Why white privilege needs to be talked about is not the fact that you need to be ashamed of it and like go and like totally punish yourself for it. It's being aware of it so that you can be like, that's not right. I don't see skin color. I hate that response. I really hate that response.
I do.
That's exactly it. I do.
And growing up where we did, you see skin color a whole lot more, regardless of the fact if you hate it or not.
Yep. Because they stick out. It's a fact.
Yep. I can go back and I can talk about this woman now because she was a wonderful woman, was my grandma, but she was kind of racist. My cousin Katie was dating a black guy, and my grandma's like, oh my God, what are your babies going to look like? Oh my God, what are these people going to think like? And that always rubbed me the wrong way. And that was in the 90s, early 2000s.
Very, very generational.
Well, and I just want to end this type of the conversation just to remind us all that we as senior millennial people-ish, I know, we were born in the early 80s, and
aren't we Zennials or
no, we're
something?
either way, it doesn't matter. The point of the matter is that we are we were told or we were educated around here that racism was a thing of the past, that we were past it. And then we started seeing it when we became adults. We the blinders came off, and we're not the only ones. More people did that. And that's why this conversation is happening, because we have like been lying to ourselves about this whole thing, this systematic problem. So that is
because it
okay. No.
gets swept under the rug.
Yep. I'm only wrapping it up just to say, because I don't want to get in any more conversation about racism or anything in this podcast. What I'm just saying is I'm trying to wrap up where the fact that we've culminated. All right.
Yes.
So I want to get back to welcoming Mike to the podcast. Clearly, we'll have a lot of runoff, so he fits in perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
You can't go in my huggle.
This is the ADHD podcast, so what
we
I'm
should call it "To Be Butterfly."
So I want to leave the listeners with something, is that now that we have our 4 co-hosts and we are going to be taking a hiatus soon here, we're probably going to do one more episode and then we're going to probably take a break till June. Yeah, well, episodes won't come back till June. It doesn't mean we will necessarily be on a long break. We'll probably record less than Rush through, though.
Right.
And we'll come up with some really cool episodes. But I want to do a Q&A. I want whatever listeners we have out there to, in our comments on YouTube here, go to our Facebook page, our Instagram, and give us some questions that you want us to answer, and we will start engaging. We want to engage a little bit more with our listeners and see what everyone's thinking. Mike, you got something?
I just want to give a shout out to one of our avid listeners. Max listens a lot. You know this.
Does he still though? I don't know.
He still does, and he passed on. He's got a friend down in Indiana, so I want to give a shout out to Scar Greymane, because we were playing video games the other night, and he's like, I just want you to know that I listen to your guys' podcast and I like them, and so we got a guy in Indiana that Max introduced to the podcast. I just wanted to give a shout out to him and let him know that thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening, and thank you, Max, for listening. Like, I know back when we first started, he would actually, I'd run into him in the store and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm listening," and I was like, wow, I didn't think that he would be part of the demographic of our listeners.
He's very much, he's got a lot of conservative values.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying anything wrong about him in that sense, but he's still not the type of audience I thought I was going to draw in.
Yeah, he's a great kid, and he and I talk a lot about stuff on the podcast because we play a lot of Apex Legends together, and so he and I talk a lot about stuff, and he's very open-minded on certain things and very closed-minded on other things, just like me,
I am too, and that's why, like, sometimes I think I'm worried that I have to be very careful of what I say in public or something because of my public image, because I do have one, and so sometimes I'm very careful about how I come across, because I don't want to be a hypocrite when I say something, because some people call me out, like especially during 2020, whenever I'd be spewing out something about Trump or racism or something like that, I'd get messages. I still get messages to this day that are just hateful. What? Oh yeah, I've never told you that.
I didn't know you're still getting messages.
But the thing about that is, and it sucks.
Mike used to see them. I used to show them to him when we lived together. Yeah.
But the thing it sucks that you're getting those messages. It sucks there's that bigotry, that hatred out there. But
it's not just about that, though. It's just about the fact that I'm it's like I'm the visible liberal in this community.
Well, and you're causing waves, and people are taking notice enough to comment to you. That means that they listened enough to get offended and not like what you're saying, which, you know what, is completely fine.
Yep.
That they don't like what you're saying.
You're having an impact on them.
Regardless if you know it or not, you're planting a seed that if they have enough semblance to message you about it, that means that they're talking about it with their community of friends. And that seed is getting planted. And sometimes it takes a long time for that seed to take root.
Yeah.
And there are certain people out there that I have seen that were terrible people that have come around and now are fighting the good fight. And
That's
fighting the
awesome.
good fight is, love and compassion and understanding. And loving a person regardless of the color of their skin, their sexual orientation, the things that they like to do inside, outside of the bedroom, that love, you just love a person unconditionally. Compassion, understanding that other people have different stories. Like, I listened to some of your stories, Aaron, from when you were in high school, and I'm just appalled. I mean, and I've got a lot of gay friends that suffered that same hate, and it's just, you're planting seeds, my friend, and you're planting, and regardless if people like you, hate you, kind of feel that you're lukewarm, it doesn't matter. You're planting seeds. And I mean, I'm proud to call you my friend. And I will fight tooth and nail for you. Same with you, Lisa. I'll fight tooth and nail for you.
Well, I
Hey, I love
appreciate that.
this.
Yeah.
This is a nice little ending to the conversation in this way. I really appreciate that, Mike. That really does help. I will say it's tough when you're trying to be an influencer for positive change, because I still haven't limited my brand. Like, I think people are like, you're supposed to build your brand, and I'm like, I feel like a brand is the same thing as putting myself in a box.
Yeah.
The whole thing about me is that I can't label myself with one brand or another. Hi, Moxie.
Mine is under my huggle.
So yeah, making change is a big deal, and that's why I'm very excited to have this podcast. I'm very excited to be doing this with people that can share the vision of the world that I see, both dark and light. We will be talking about good and evil in upcoming episodes. So
good and evil and their merits.
And so anyway, Mike, we always kind of end our episodes with two things. We share a goal for the week that we're going to try and do, a positive goal, something for change for ourselves. And Lisa's not excited about that.
No. It's been last week was a really hard week, but tomorrow's a new day.
We also share a recommendation, something that you might be watching, reading, listening to, playing, whatever. So we'll let you go ahead and go first. So what's a goal of yours for this upcoming week?
My goal, and this is not just for this week, this has been something that's been really brewing since 2021. I really want to get into the gym at least once a week. I've got a membership. I also want to really make a concerted effort to start sleeping with my CPAP machine, as difficult as it is, because I know that when I sleep with it, I have way, way better days, even if it's just for the first part of the night. I snore like Aaron's heard me. He's, we live 2 rooms apart. You could probably.
Troy's got a CPAP.
Well, because when you first moved in there, you were sleeping on the couch on the other side of the sheets that was my room. So
oh yeah,
I remember hearing you.
Yeah. Sam and Sandy can hear me from the basement all the way in their bedroom on the 2nd floor.
Jesus
so my goal this week.
So you're like little Nikki?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's bad. Ask Aaron. He's heard it.
It's not pretty.
No. So my goal this week is to wear it every night, regardless.
Good for you. Good luck.
Yep.
I know it gets uncomfortable. Troy bitches about it all the time.
Recommendations on something. Well, of course, I recommend this podcast to anybody.
Aw, thank you.
How did we not think of that last week?
I know, right?
Yeah. But recommendation. Anybody who really, really enjoys like fantasy, like high fantasy, like elves, dwarves, like Tolkien style stuff, check out R.A. Salvatore. R.A. Salvatore has been my solace since 6th grade. Like, he is the author that I will go back to every single time. And I think Aaron and I had this conversation, why we read stuff over, why we watch stuff over. Because those of us that suffer from anxiety, we know what's going to happen, but we've forgotten the gist of stuff. I got into reading R.A. Salvatore when I was in 6th grade. And
That's heavy for 6th grade.
Yeah.
Like his books
and,
are.
Yep. And I mean, I've been through his series now probably 9 or 10 times all the way through, and it's 50 some odd books.
I was gonna. Holy cow!
It's a
Yep.
big
And
series.
you know, I mean, I used to be a much more avid reader, but I do it in the car now. So, and this
That doesn't
this is
sound
not.
safe.
No, I don't read them. Shut up. And
Sorry.
this is not a paid advertisement for Audible. But Audible, if you hear this and you want to sponsor Aaron's podcast, please do this. But I found Audible, and
I love
rather than
Audible.
buying, I do too. Rather than buying books in the paperback, I mean, I still love having a book and the smell and the feel and the tactile sensation of it. But I decided to go through the whole series from the beginning to the end. And I am currently one book away from being done. And I started it 2 years ago.
Well, congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
R.A. Salvatore, the Dark Elf series, Dritz Stewart, and it has been my place to go when I am in my dark and spookies, and I will sit down and I will read Salvatore because he gets me.
All right.
And he's a New York Times bestseller 100 times over. He's amazing, and his combat writing is the best in the business. So that's my recommendation. Pick up Homeland, or pick up the Crystal Shard and start it. Just do it. It's worth it, even if you're not a geek like me. So
all right, thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, what's a goal for you this week? I bought you a little time there.
It doesn't matter. I think a goal for me this week is I want to try to be more understanding with children.
Get it, girl.
And not yell maybe as much. And also not to sit around and feel sorry for myself like I did this whole last week. It was a rough week. I laid in bed a lot last week. So my goal is to not do that this week.
Good stuff.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good goal.
Yeah.
All right. What are you recommending this week, though?
As always, I am still reading the Outlander series, and I would recommend that till I was blue in the face. It is amazing. I've never seen the show, and I've never seen the characters or what they look like, so they still look like what they do in my head. And I would also recommend to anyone who enjoys Stephen King to read the Dark Tower series. Yes. It is so good. So good. And it cross-references a bunch of other books of his, and just the way that it's written and what it's about. I mean, I don't know. It's wizardry and time travel and gunslinging, and that movie should be burned at the stake.
Bad movie?
You didn't see the movie?
No.
Have you read the books?
A long time ago.
Don't see the movie.
Okay.
Even if you read them 15 years ago, you'll watch the movie and be like, what is this god-awful piece of garbage?
I've heard that.
Oh, God, it's
Speaking of god-awful movies,
awful.
The Craft Legacy, or the new one
I
that
hated
came out,
it. Stupid.
It was garbage.
I haven't watched it.
Garbage.
So
it was garbage.
It was trash. I watched it a couple weeks ago. Did you watch it recently, Mike?
Yeah, I watched it last week.
Yeah, it was. I was expecting it to be so good, and they just destroyed everything I love about the original movie.
Yep.
And I should have known, being a Blumhouse B movie sequel, that
but
there
I
was going to be
Blumhouse.
I know, but like Blumhouse doesn't put a lot, especially when The Craft was such a high budget film.
It was.
It was.
No, was it?
Oh, it was from Dimension. Oh yeah, it was. It was a higher budget than Blumhouse. Oh yeah.
Sorry, Lisa, we went off tangent. Continue your...
No, I'm wrinkling my face at the fact that The Craft had a higher budget than Legacy.
Did.
Whatever, it's fine.
Anyway, the point of the matter is, it's my turn to talk about a goal.
Yes, Aaron, what is your goal for the week?
Yes. What would you like to accomplish this week?
My goal this week is to try to forgive myself for something.
Get it, girl.
I have so many things that I'm still like upset with myself about that I am trying really hard because I realize that I can't let go of anger from other people that I have on other people until I let go of some of the anger I have towards myself. So
Aww,
that's
that's
one of my goals.
awesome.
Thank you. I mean, seriously about that because that's a big thing for me right now. Is because that's a big weight for me. Is so much anger, so much.
Dee
And
really got you thinking, didn't she?
oh, I love Dee. Oh my God, Mike would love Dee.
I agree. But what she said to you that night when we recorded, it stuck
It's
with
been
you.
sticking with me. It has
Yeah.
been.
What did she
Yeah.
say to you?
So I talked to her. She's a very fascinating mental health expert. Not expert, I guess, but professional. And she's got a very good way of trying to manage self-esteem and anxiety. And so I brought up the fact that I'm still angry with my father. And her question to me was, what is that benefiting me, all that anger I have?
What are you getting out of it?
What am I getting out of that? Like, and she didn't ask me like judgmentally. She asked me, she's like, what is that doing for you? And like, if I don't have a good answer for what exactly that's doing for me, then that's definitely something that I need to work on letting go of.
That was
why
my
is that?
favorite
Why?
part. She asked you to make you think about it, not because
Mhm.
she wanted an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very interesting because I was sitting there like tongue tied, like, oh God. And Lisa was just chuckling. She's like, I've never seen Aaron stumped.
Right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
You should watch the episode.
watch
Yeah.
the episode. We'll have her on again sometime, and it'll be really fun. But she became like the most inspiring person to Lisa and I for at least the last 2 weeks for sure.
Yes, she's incredible.
Yeah, and we did that self-esteem challenge right after,
Mhm.
and that was so much fun. But yeah, so that's that. And my recommendations, I think I was talking about it earlier in the episode, is season 2 of Everything's Gonna Be Okay is out on Freeform and Hulu, and I can't remember. I think new episodes come out Thursdays or Fridays. But yeah, and they're on the next day on Hulu. And it's just so well done. It's created by the guy that stars in it too. His name's Josh Thomas. He's Australian, and he had a show in Australia called Please Like Me.
Aw.
And the show is exactly that. Like, he's a socially awkward, weird kid guy that just says weird things. And
I can relate.
I can't describe it, but he says the things that run through your mind. Just like my other recommendation used to be Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Rachel Bloom. I've got Mike into that show too.
Oh God, I got a
You
crush
keep
on
trying to. You've been trying to get me to watch it for quite some time now, and I've not resisted on purpose. Oh God, excuse me.
It's fascinating because both of those types of writers and what they do with mental health stuff, they bring those conversations into it, and it's like
They normalize it.
They do, and it's just fantastic to watch, and it's in such a nice, creative way. Like, I don't know if you ever watched Gilmore Girls.
Oh, I love Gilmore Girls.
Okay, well then you'll like Everything's Gonna Be Okay because it's very similar in that concept. Like, it's very light on the drama, but like with the drama that's there is serving a purpose. So
it's not just like, oh my God, not like Jersey Shore drama.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, this is your long lost sister from, that was retconned into the story. Yeah. Don. Anyway. But yeah, so this is our show, and I'm very excited to get all 4 of us on one episode because we'll never get anything done.
No, and going back to what Lisa said is our really long podcasts. When did we start this? At 8? So we're sitting at an hour and a half right now.
Yeah,
so this is gonna have to break this up into a couple episodes.
This is probably going to be 2 episodes at this point. Yeah. So
just blame the cow.
So thank you, Mike, for joining us as the newest cast member of the full-on, like, here's our group. Lisa's on here with me all the time, but like, it's kind of nice. Sometimes you and Sarah will be interchangeable, but I think if we can get all 4 of us on here one time, it'll be good.
Sorry.
And a lot of my not wanting to do it was a lot of dealing with my mental health stuff over the last year.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I'm in a much better place. So thank you for sticking with me, I guess. I mean,
Well,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
expect anything less from you because,
Because you're worth it
Well, and yeah,
and you're awesome. And
he
I'm
also knows
so
I
glad
have.
that we've become friends.
He also
Yeah.
knows I have a
I
really
appreciate it.
I have a. I don't leave people behind very easily. So
Yeah.
I feel like when you and I finally meet in person, we're going to be like, oh my God, you're like my long lost spirit animal.
It's going to
oh,
be such a good hug.
Yes, it is. Oh my
Ohana
God.
Ohana
I
means
give the
family.
best hugs.
Ohana means
Ohana.
and family means nobody gets left behind.
Oh.
Or forgotten. Yeah.